Radio check, how copy overs, twin to section A, baby, on my low mix income, northside, amidon project, unit 23, building 6, the zoo. And today, we got a new video. I've been thinking about this, studying, listening at this topic for some time now. I think it's very important, and I'm gonna get right into it. This episode is going to be about the housing projects of New Orleans, Louisiana, NOLA, right? The Third Ward. In other words, too, there's like 7 or 8, and I'm probably missing some projects too. But there's the Melpomene, or the MILF, or the Melpomene. There's a Magnolia, or the Noya. There's the Calio, or the Yo, or CP3. There's the Bernard, the St. Bernard project, the St. Thomas project, the Iberville, or the Ville, the Desire / Florida project, because I do believe they're the same location, they're just divided. It's the same thing, but one side's called Desire, the other side's called Florida, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's the Lafitte project, and then from what I found out from a woman who actually lived in New Orleans her whole life before Katrina, was the Fisher project that they demolished, and apparently that was a terrible project. Like, they was burying bodies underneath that project. That's what she told me. She used to freak with the Calio, so I'm going off what she said. You know, that's boots on the ground information right there. But mainly going to focus in on Third Ward, New Orleans, the Melf Mag Calio, right? That's the 3-headed monster. That's the Third Ward. It's the most popular one. It's been blown up by everybody. Birdman, Baby, Stunner. You got so many people out there. C Murder, Master P came out the Calio. Magnolia Slim, Soldier Slim came out the Magnolia. Juvenile came out the Magnolia. Uncle Laurel and Skipper the Ripper out of the Melpomene, yeah, and his brother Sick With It. They was, Sick With It was on in that Neck of the Woods music video with Lil Wayne and them. All these stars, right? Pressure creates diamonds. Pressure presses coals that are worth nothing into diamonds that are, because the market is controlled, worth money, whatever money is. Anyway, let me get into it. So BET, I'm pretty sure they did some documentaries. I've never actually seen the BET one. I just heard they had one. I should have looked into that. But the Gangland, the Ice-T documentary, etc., they all focused in on Third Ward. Third Ward is like a geographical, cutout location of the city in New Orleans, downtown. I think it's Central City. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not from there. I just admire it from a distance. But Third Ward showed the USA how to get it how you live. To be honest, no one's doing it like them. A lot of people want to say, Atlanta, Houston, New York, LA. They done got culture like Louisiana, New Orleans had. They don't have block parties. Their footage, maybe I haven't looked into it, but it ain't like it is in the South though. And New Orleans that's the South. You know what I'm saying? Like Third Ward, New Orleans, that is the South. They created twerk music. They had bounce music before it was called twerking. There's videos, they got all the little kids twerking, all the grown women twerking, even little boys twerking back in the 90s. There's videos online. They created that. They coined the term. That's their thing. You can't deny them that. Anyway, the South was run by New Orleans, Louisiana, in my opinion, and New Orleans, NOLA, was run by Third Ward, in my opinion. They had a strong sense of tribalism, right? If you from this certain project, you know, you proud to be from it. You know what I'm saying? And they had a large sense of community, right? They had nothing, but they had each other, and they had weapons to protect each other. And that's what they, that's what they had. Those people were outside. Big families, right? A lot of kids, and most likely single parent households in these projects that go up to like 4 stories. The Fisher was like a high rise, like the ones kind of in Chicago, kind of. And the Melpomene is kind of like that too. But what I'm saying is a lot of people inside, too many people to be inside. So everyone's outside playing, hanging out. They didn't have smartphones, that type of technology that keep people inside. They didn't have it back then. So everyone's outside. Everyone knows everybody. Everyone has friends. It's generational. Yeah. They have block parties and DJs, and you can see the footage, how much fun it looks. Like, we don't do that shit. We don't do that type of stuff around here anymore. You know what I'm saying? People are scared. People are timid. They don't want to come outside. They're pussy. Real shit. They don't come outside, man. They're shut-ins, goblins, trolls. You know what I'm saying? They stay inside. I hate that shit. That's why I'm always watching these videos, reminiscing and fantasizing them, infatuated with it, because the world that we live in now, like, they didn't have nothing in these projects, in these ghettos, really, and everyone's so happy. It's amazing. It's phenomenal, to be honest with you. They would fall asleep in it and wake up in it. They didn't need to travel to the spot. People in their city, New Orleans, that didn't live in these projects would go to these projects. Like, they were like parks. They were like where you went to like hang out. Like, it's going down in there. Like, that's where the action is. That's where there's drama. That's where you spend your time, and like to go to sleep in it and wake up in it. I'm sure, it took a toll on some people, but at the same time, you got to find silver linings in gold mines like that. In the Calio, it said at one point to have 100 military-age men ready for battle, to go to war. They had wars with the Melf, they had wars with the St. Bernard, they had wars with the Magnolia. All these projects was beefing with each other at one point in time. To one degree or another. There was a bunch of different cliques, a bunch of different, they said that in Gangland, when they went and did an episode on the Gotti Boys, which is Uncle Lorel and the Melpomene Project, they said that Bloods from wherever, California, New York, I don't really know, went to New Orleans, tried to get established in New Orleans, and New Orleans killed all of them. Killed them. They couldn't even, like, even the Blood gang couldn't even infiltrate back then. They had their own gangs, like the Cut Boys and the Porch Boys and the Hot Boys, and the list goes on and on. There's so many of them, but those are some of the main ones. And then, in the C Murder documentary, straight from the project, what Ice-T is narrating, it was super annoying. I skipped through all of his parts. They got a part called the Magnolia Hoes. Just a whole porch full of females, man. all females, man. And in the Calio, they was interviewing one girl. I love just the way she talked and how hood she was, and you know, I need me a project chick, you know what I'm saying, that type of shit. I mean, it's totally opposite for me, so of course I'm gonna be attracted to it. But apparently the Saint Bernard that project was known for their women. You know, even Juvenile has a song where he's like, I met a fine bitch at the Saint Bernard, took her halfway home, made her get out of my car, some shit like that. Saint Bernard women, wish I could have known it. Women everywhere is the point I'm trying to make. Even in all these videos, man, there's so many kids, like, and they're all growing up together in high schools and middle schools. Everyone knows each other. It's a ton, you know, people is having families. Like, it's not like that today. You know what I'm saying? There's options back then. Options where I'm at, Wichita, Kansas, nah. And you know, down south, they got superior genetics. It was a different time. You know, it was in the past, but yet now, in retrospect, it seems like it's so advanced because they had such community and how important that is. You know, it seems to be very advanced from my vantage point here, looking back. In my opinion, they destroyed New Orleans, Louisiana on purpose, and the weather experts have gone over, you know, Katrina and the path it took. It's almost like someone was controlling that hurricane with a joystick, you know, and moving it all around and going up and back and over and over and over and up and down. It's crazy. Katrina is an anomaly, and I believe they destroyed New Orleans, 3rd Ward. They blew those levees. They brought the hurricane through, and they also blew up the levees to flood these places out. Destroyed it on purpose because the controllers lost control of the narrative in that area. You know what I'm saying? An example of that is they had a 60-day homicide law, where if you got pulled in on suspicion or they thought you did a homicide, they had 60 days to indict you or 60 days to charge you, and if not, they let you out. And they was on backlog, so people was getting away with murders. The Calio is said to have had 88 murders in 8 years in the Calio. They was known apparently for just killing. That was their thing in the Calio. Now it's a 120-day homicide law. You know what I'm saying? So I heard. So that's one thing they do. They had to wipe the slate clean and reprogram it so that they can get a grasp on it. They destroyed that strong way of life to, you know, on purpose to rebuild it with a tighter grip, like I've already explained. And how they rebuilt it with a tighter grip, and their strategy worked. That's what makes me so mad about it, because their strategy worked and they use it everywhere now. Is they used to just do low income housing, right? They used to charge like $20 in rent for these housing projects. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, depending on the situation, but cheap like that. And these brick buildings that have been around since the 40s, the 1940s, or damn, I get my 18s and my 19s mixed up. I couldn't be 18s. They must have been building them in the 40s. You know what I'm saying? You heard me? And and they would take all the low income people and put them in one spot. That used to be for white folks, some of them. The Iberville and the St. Thomas, if I'm not mistaken, was all white projects that got repurposed and they were all black. All these projects are all black people too, you know, which is very interesting. But what they did was they tore down them brick projects that withstood plenty of hurricanes, And, you know, people in surrounding areas that didn't live in the project when it was a hurricane, they would go to the project bricks, to take refuge. So, you know, they had to, you know, they did a lot to try to get rid of them. And they did. And what they did was they rebuilt those same projects back with cheap materials, cheap floor plans, and cheap materials, and they charged more. Now they charge like $300 plus. It was $20, now it's $300, and it's a cheaper, you know, type building material. It's crap. Read the reviews of the people that live there now and the new ones. And what they did was they moved it from low income housing to mixed income housing. This is their strategy. So you don't have a bunch of poor people living next to people. You got people making, you know, regular money, paying their rent, and then next to them, you got someone on, you know, Section 8 housing, low income, and then you got someone else paying full rent, another person on low, and evened it out that way. So they separated it. They divided and conquered the low income project way of life. That's what they did. This is how they did it. And, you know, NOLA's the realest. In my opinion, they paved the culture today. They was the murder capital champions. They had dangerous mindsets. You know what I'm saying? It took a whole hurricane and conspiracy to replace it. The elites could not control the narrative in the projects. And what that would look like today is you got these people in these projects, and good luck getting those people to mask up, right? Good luck getting them to take vaccines. Good luck getting them to stay inside on lockdown. Yeah. Good luck trying to destroy their local businesses that they run and work hard at. Good luck with that. It couldn't be done. They couldn't do it. So they tore it all down, and look at everybody now. They just walk around, you know, little chicken heads, just doing what they're told, going where they're told to go, thinking what they're supposed to think, right? These people most likely in the 90s, 80s, 90s, they didn't most likely have a TV. You know what I'm saying? They was outside. They didn't have smartphones. There wasn't cameras surveilling every freaking, you know, meets and bounds of the property. You know what I'm saying? There's no reach. There was no propaganda, you know, at the level that it is at now. And I fantasize that time, like I said, you know, a one-man army can only now dream of a platoon, let alone a squad. You know, and they had damn near companies out there, 100 men. Like, you take 21 people in a squad, 4 squads, that's a platoon. You know, you got 2 or 3 platoons, that's a company. They was moving out there. They had the numbers, right? It was a beautiful thing to look at in retrospect. Their lingo is trendsetter. You heard me? I love that. I always say it all the time. You know, that wah, you know, all kinds of stuff. Whoa, they. All their little lingos, their slang and their pronunciation is unique. Sets them apart from everybody else. You know, get to the point. How they talk aluminum foil, right? The orange, all that. I love all that. And the reason why is because they have a heritage and a culture. They got a language behind them, right? They're artistic. And once again, because this isn't the first time heritage and culture been taken from people or replaced. Once again, it was taken from them, and because knowledge is power, you use power and knowledge to stay in control. You control the history, and you control the narrative, and you know, that's just where we're at. Cameras are everywhere now. It's a surveillance state now, right? It wasn't like that back then, man. People, and you know what? People didn't snitch. People, you know, the community ran the community, man. The police was in there, but it just, it's just a different time, man. The way the projects were set up, like you could even get away on foot. You could run through buildings and out the other side. And you look at how they rebuilt them now, man, you're not getting 2 blocks away. And some of these projects were like 7 blocks by 5 blocks. Like, man, I can't even guess. Like, I live in a little project with 10 buildings, and this is nothing compared to what they had. They probably had 10 times this in one project. They probably had, I don't know, 50 buildings, man, maybe 100 buildings with multiple floors, like so many people. They have front of town, back of town, old side, new side, high rise, melamine, all of that. And what's important to know is there was a lot of tragedy going on in these places. But what comes with tragedy is comedy, right? You can't have one without the other. And this is very unique, never will occur again in history. And I don't think people talk about it that much. People should be talking about it more because they destroyed it, and that's what makes it that much more beautiful. And some people you can look into is Terrence Gangster Williams from the Magnolia, Calio Chill, Skip Out the MILF. They all got stories on YouTube, and I love listening at their content. And these people were smart back then. They wasn't letting smartphones think for them, They had street smarts and common sense. But that's where we're at. NORA, THSIDE. I'm out.